Hi everyone, and welcome to our first lesson looking at congruence and similar figures. This lesson is really an introduction to that, and we're going to be learning in this unit about what makes figures congruent and similar, and we're going to learn how to prove or show that two 2D shapes are congruent or similar. Okay, so first question I want to put to you is, what does it mean if figures are congruent? Okay, well basically if two or more figures have the same size and shape, then they are said to be congruent figures. So basically congruent means same size and shape. Okay, in other words, the same in exactly every way, and that's important. Okay, so for example, if you look at these two shapes here, they're both squares, and square ABCD is congruent to square EFGH because they're matching. And I want you to fill that in there. Matching sides and angles are equal. Okay, so to show something's congruent to something else, you have to show that their matching sides and angles are equal. Okay, now what are some other words that mean congruence? Okay, well, another word for congruence could be the same as, or it could be identical to. Sometimes we even use the word equal to, but equal to in every way. And there's also a special symbol for congruence, and the symbol for congruence, and I want you to make sure you're writing this down, the symbol for congruence is 3 horizontal lines. Okay, 3 horizontal lines like that means is congruent to. Okay, so it's really important that you know that symbol, and that means congruent to. Okay, so that's what congruence is. What does it mean if figures are similar? Okay, well, if figures are similar, then that basically means that the shape or the figure has the same shape but not necessarily the same size. Okay, so similar figures can be the same shape. For example, this triangle and this triangle here can be similar, but they're not the same size. Okay, so we've looked at congruence, we've looked at similarity. So what is the difference between congruence and similarity? Okay, well, if you look at these turtles here, congruent means same matching sides and angles are equal, and similar means same shape but it doesn't have to be the same size. Okay, and that's kind of really important for you to get, so make sure you go over that right in the things I've written in. Okay, let's have a look at some example questions together. All right, this question says, which shape is not congruent to the other three? Okay, which one is not congruent? Well, to me, these two look congruent, as does that. This one looks a lot bigger, so I'm going to select C as not being congruent. Okay, so if I was going to write a statement, I could write that A is congruent to B, which is congruent to C. Oh, sorry, D. C is the one I said that's not congruent. There we go. Okay. Question 2, how many rectangles are congruent to this rectangle in this diagram? So you need to count how many of these can you see in here. Well, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I can see 6. I mean, this would be 1 too if it didn't have that line there, but it does, and these are a lot longer. See if you agree with me. If you can see any more, that's fine too. Question 3, show that the following triangles are congruent. So this show that is really important. It means I want you to prove something, and I want you to write something down. I want you to show that they're congruent by stating the matching sides and angles. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So you start with a side and some angles. Okay, let's start with the sides first. So I'm going to start like this. I'm going to start by going in triangle ABC and triangle DEF because I want to tell the marker what I'm doing and where I'm starting and what I'm looking at. So in these two triangles, I can say that AB is equal to its matching side DE, and that is equal to 3. Okay, because I know that this side here is equal to this side here. I can also say that BC is equal to EF, which is equal to 5. Okay, and I can also say that AC is equal to DF, which is equal to 4. Okay, and so I can say also that angle B equals angle E. Notice with the angle, it's a flat horizontal on the bottom of the symbol, equals 53 degrees. Okay, I can also say that angle C is equal to angle F, which is equal to 37 degrees. And I can also say that angle A is equal to angle D, is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, and all those things are given. So if I was going to write a reason, that would all be given. Same here. If I was going to write a reason, that would all be given. Okay. And basically, I'm going to say, therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And my reason for that is going to be matching sides and angles of congruent triangles are equal. Okay, so if you can show that the matching sides and angles of two figures are equal, then they're congruent. But you have to write it out in a full sort of proof way. Anytime you see this word, show that. Okay, so that's important. Question 4, and make sure you write those things down on your book, in your booklet. Okay. Question 4, circle the congruent shapes below. Okay, here's something to help you. Two shapes are congruent where they are identical in shape and size. Which of these are congruent? Well, if I look at these, I can see that this one here and this one here is congruent, so I'm going to circle those. I get a different color and see if I can find that one's not congruent to anything, so I'm going to ignore that, but see if there's any two other shapes I can find that are congruent. For example, I think this shape here is congruent with this shape here. Okay, which is also congruent with this shape here, by the way. Okay. So I want you to go through and circle, or maybe put different shapes around, different kinds of selections. So like maybe choose a circle for one or a rectangle if you're going to choose the others if you don't have enough colors, or you can use different colors. Okay. So that's congruence, and today we're mainly looking at congruence. We're also going to look at today transformations. Okay. Now transformations are reflections, rotations, and translations of shapes. Okay. And in geometry, we can rotate, reflect, and translate shapes. Okay. So I'm going to quickly go through what those mean, and then we'll look at it further together in class. So what does it mean to rotate a shape? Okay. Well, rotating a shape means to turn it a certain number of degrees. Okay. So you need to know that. Here's a picture. So this was the original, and it's been rotated around to look like this. Okay. What is a reflection? Well, what does it mean to reflect a shape? If you think about a mirror, a reflection, reflecting a shape basically involves finding its mirror image and reflecting it against its reflection, which is usually a line, horizontal or vertical. So you can see here, here's a reflection line, and on the left is a reflection of the right, vice versa. Okay. Translation, what does it mean to translate a shape? Well, translating a shape basically involves sliding it from one set of points to another. So it doesn't actually change, it just moves its position along the grid or the number plane. Okay. So remember, there's 3 transformations, and they are rotation, where you're turning, reflection, where you're flipping, and translation, where you're sliding across. Okay, so you need to remember those 3 things. Now, When we're doing transformations, whether we're turning, flipping, or sliding, the shape still has the same size, area, angles, and line lengths. So they're congruent shapes, okay? What I want you to do is to write a summary of what you learned, any questions you have, and bring your booklet with you to class, because we're going to be working on exercise 13A, and I'll be able to answer any questions you have then. Today we have looked at our first lesson, looking at congruence and similar figures with a focus on congruence and transformations. See you soon.